Hi everybody, Creative Katie, Karen Birchall here. Welcome to an art journal tutorial. This one we are making a Christmas memories ornament. It's part of the napkin series and it uses a lot of our mixed media and art journal techniques. So here are the ornaments that I will be making. And I will be making 3 versions of this to give you some of the options in that. A lot of it's repeated, but each one does something slightly different. As promised, I am using up some lovely napkins. These come from ninniesnapkins.com and there are links in the description box below, including the names of these napkins. Now, this is a cocktail napkin and it's the perfect size to put onto ornaments, coasters, and these mini composition books. So I'm just seeing what part of the snowman I can use. I cut it into the 4 pieces. One napkin can make 4 of these books or 4 mini mixed media pieces, which I love. You get so many focal images from your napkins. Now I'm just water cutting the image that I want. Now, because I'm putting this onto these mini composition books, I know I can't use the entirety of this napkin. I love that birdhouse and I will be saving it for other projects. I did find these mini composition books in multiple packs in Amazon, so I'll include that link in the description box below. These are sewn, which I love because they're a little bit more durable than the paid ones that I bought previously, where the pages did come out over time. Now, the composition books are slightly shiny, and I could have sanded this down before I put gesso, but I'm showing you here what happens when you try gesso. It really doesn't stick. Now, it would have stuck a little bit better if I had sanded it, admittedly, but then I still would have to have put several layers to block off the bright colors that are on the composition book. And that, quite honestly, when I'm making this for a craft fair makes or as gifts, kind of as greeting cards, I don't want to have to do that much work. So what I'm making is a composition book template. I made it a little bit bigger than what I'm going to be using. Now I'm leaving the black binding on there. Then I cut some under papers. And this one's just plain copy paper. It measures 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. There's going to be a little overlap that I will be cutting out. Now, I wanted the snowman to stay white. I didn't want color underneath, which is why I didn't put this on a gel print. That would have been very quick and easy, but I wanted it white. So I just used plain copy paper. For the other examples, I'll be doing something else for under paper, just to show you some of the options. Now I want to add some color to the background. Now there's not much, and I'm using some light blue permanent and white gesso. And I'm just dabbing into the napkin, going into some of the areas where those berries are around his hat, and just melding the napkin with the background. And by including the gesso and just kind of doing this in a very painterly way, it really becomes rather seamless. You can't tell that I've put the image on here. Now I'm loving the model look on that background. It's not one tone. But I wanted to add a little more interest. So I grabbed my shelf liner and I'm stamping with some shades of blue and some white just to make it interesting. And I'm somewhat masking off the snowman because I don't want any of that stamping on the snowman. Now for the back piece, I could have painted, and I should have, and I did in future mini composition books or memory ornaments that I made. I just painted the whole background just like what you saw me doing this top part. But on here, I did do it a different way. Before I do the back, I'm just putting a coat of gel medium from the Crafters Workshop, because this is several layers and I find that gel medium, not liquid medium, works best. And I use the brayer to maximize the contact. I really want whatever I'm gluing on here to stay on here. And for the most part, even when I had made these mini composition books and put them in my purse, they stay perfectly adhered. This is going on a tree, so it's not going to get the wear and tear. Here I'm making the background piece, and I thought I would save time by looking for a gel print and using a gel print, but quite honestly, I would just paint the background because I already have the paint out, and then it's going to be a perfect match. But you could use gel prints if that's the way you want to go. I could have also put another snowman one on here if I wanted that. But I wanted to save the images for the covers because I love those little snowmen. So there I was brayering it down using gel medium. Once I cut it off, I'm just checking the edges, making sure I have complete contact. Now here with this gel print, even though it sort of matches, I wanted it to match a little bit more. So I grabbed that shelf liner and I'm doing some stamping with white and the dark blue just so it matches the front. This is me being a perfectionist. And there we have it. So now with this, I'm going to add some fine tuning. I'm going to do some shading using the floating acrylic technique just to make the image stand out from the background. I will, as I said earlier, I am showing you 3 versions of this Christmas memories ornament. And a lot of the times the steps are the same, or the steps that you do are determined by the napkin that you've chosen. Here I'm shading around the edge with that dark blue. I'm liking that look. But here's where it really pops. I grab some black acrylic paint and a makeup sponge and I edge the cover. And that goes so well with the binding, the black binding. And it will go because I'm going to add a sentiment. So moving on to the memory book number 2. Now this napkin is poinsettia. And I, again, have pulled off the 2 layers, water cutting the image. And here's the nice part with the napkins. You can edit them, the image. You could cut out leaves, you could move them around. You can alter it to fit exactly where you are using it. This time for the under paper, which again measures 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, I chose to use some music paper. And it's a little old, so it's got a little bit of antique look to it. And there I've cut off the pine boughs and I'm moving them around to fit the shape of the composition book. Here I'm taking out this leaf and I'm going to put the pine bough there. Now, if you remember the first picture that I showed in the cover photo, that only has 1 poinsettia because in future versions of this one, I did cut out only 1 poinsettia and use it. I just you improve the composition. Each time you do something, you learn. Putting the liquid matte medium underneath and then on top. I want to seal the napkin because I know I may go and shade it and add some paint later, and I don't want it to be completely absorbent. So for the back, instead of painting it, I grabbed another napkin. This one's poinsettia all over. It matches, goes with my theme. Still put the music paper underneath it. It peeks through. Grabbing the gel matte medium, putting a good layer here, making sure it fits, using the brayer to push it down and get a good seal. Cutting off the excess. And then doing the same with the back. Making sure the edges are all perfectly glued down and giving it a good dry. And here I'm edging it with black, just like I did the other one. Like I said, a lot of the steps are the same, but I could have done this with red if I wanted to, or gold, but the black just really pops and goes so well with the binding on the spine. I'm using my Sakura glaze pen and just going around. This is dimensional and glossy. Then I'm adding a little bit of details on the poinsettias. And again, because it's dimensional, that really shows up on the finished ornament. Because this is an ornament, I wanted to make the edges of the papers a little bit more special. So I grabbed some gold paint and I'm applying it with a makeup sponge. I did discover this works better, less trouble, if you use the Ranger inking foams. What happened here is you get a little bit more paint, and so the pages stick together. So I'm drying it very quickly, and then I'm actually going through each page and pulling the pages apart to make sure that they don't stick together. It's a bit of a finicky job, and when I use the Ranger blending foams, I did not have this much trouble. So I highly recommend using those. Now for the third one, I have this nutcracker napkin, and there are so many nutcrackers on there. This would make a lot of different Christmas themed mini canvases. I put it on the white and then I didn't like it so much. And then I tried something else. I thought I'm using some Naples yellow and white gesso and just painting with the sponge to get that mottled look. And I'm doing the front and the back at the same time. My background's light, so my hope is that the image is still going to stand out. And the colors are bright enough that, unlike the snowman, I wouldn't want them to be yellow. Then I have some gold paint on my glass mat, and I'm stamping with this foliage cube. Looks like pine boughs, a little bit of bling on the background. Now I'm ready to put the images down, and I'm gluing with the liquid matte medium, and you can see it really pops, it goes well. So the choice of the background color, I'm coordinating with whatever napkin I've chosen. So I'm doing 3 versions of it, and I've done 3 different ones. The music notes on the face of the nutcrackers didn't seem to work for me. Gluing it down with the gel medium and using the brayer to make sure you get great adhesion. When I did these afterwards, after I did each one of these separately, when I did 3 in a row, I cut all the background papers. I glued all of them down. I painted all the background papers. I kind of did an assembly line. And if you choose to do these for a craft fair or you want to make multiple makes, I highly recommend that you do that. Then I wanted to, bling this up a little bit, so I'm splattering with gold paint. Here, if I was doing this again, I would splatter before I glued them down. I would put all of them on my table and splatter them all in one fell swoop instead of doing one side, making sure, taking the time to dry, and then coming back. You get to benefit from my learning. What is it they say that by the time you're done a project, you know how to do the project? And I splattered this one with red. I just thought it needed a little bit something else. Here I'm adding some details to them. I'm brightening some of the paints by going over with a fine line brush. Here I'm using my stylus and adding the red berries to make them pop. It's kind of a little bit dimensional and it brightens the paint. Here's where I've used some green paint and I'm just painting in the pine and making it a little brighter. So sometimes with the napkins, the paints, the colors are very faded. This just makes it your own. Same thing here, I'm adding a little more with the pine boughs. And I just simply look at the colors that are there, the greens that are in there, and match it as closely as I can to what I have. If you need a paint to be a little duller, you can add just a touch of black or white if you want it lighter. Just touching up some of the green areas. I'm also blocking off anywhere that it's splattered that I really didn't like the look. And you can do as much of this finishing as you wish. So there are the 3 books, and now we're going to turn them into ornaments. So I find the center where I can see the stitching, and I'm going to tie a ribbon or lace or jute in a coordinating color on to the book. And you can attach a Christmas tree hanger to this and hang it from that, or you can just hang it from the ribbon. Whatever look you want. I put these on a little mini tree. They look so adorable. Now these Christmas memory ornaments, the idea behind this is that at the end of the Christmas season, you take a moment and write down your favorite Christmas memories, things that you did on New Year, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, who you were with, special events, various other things. And then you pack it. It's the last thing that gets packed in the ornament box. And then in the future year, when you take it out, it's the first thing you unpack and you gather around and you read all the memories of Christmases past. My husband and I have done this for 10 years, and we absolutely love that tradition. You can make a different book for every member of the family, which would make lovely decorations, because multiples of these look great on the tree, and it can be a family activity. So on that last one, I used some jute, and I love the look of jute. If I was doing multiples of these on my tree, I would do all of them with jute because I really like that look. You can use gold ribbon. I've got white. You can use green. I was just using whatever I had in my stash without going out and buying something new. And you can hang it vertically or horizontally, depending on what image you use. Like the poinsettia one, I'm going to hang it horizontally. The other two are going to be hung vertically. So I printed off Christmas memories. This is for the cover. And underneath, it says love shared, memories made. And these are perfectly sized to fit this composition book. And I printed this out on tissue paper. Now, all the printables that I have used, and there are 3 of them for this project, I'm going to put together with printables from another Christmas project, and I will make those available as digital downloads. And you can get a hold of me at creativekatie@gmail.com, and I will be selling those with both projects for $5 Canadian. I wanted the background to show, which is why I printed these out on tissue paper. You could print it out on parchment or colored paper. Again, your imagination is your guide. I'm using a lot of liquid matte medium. You could use decoupage, you can use Mod Podge. The more you use, the more translucent the tissue paper is going to be. You could also print this out on the Avery sticker paper or the Avery clear sticker paper. And you can see how you see the background and all you see are the black lettering. Now on this one, because the background is not, I don't have a big enough space where the music sheets are, the background is dark red, it doesn't go completely translucent. I fix it, but that's why I went and I altered the next ones. So there was only one poinsettia and I opened up a bigger area of the background and I kept that background lighter. So you may choose to keep your background light. Keep in mind that you're going to glue this title down on the book. Now here's showing. So I go in with some of the colors and I'm just painting it out so that some of that fogginess disappears. Again, me being really picky. But there's always a way of fixing whatever problem you have. Now I made a description of the Christmas memory item, ornament, what the purpose is, what to do here, because I am going to be selling these at a craft fair. And I wanted this to look like parchment. So I am using two colors here of my Distress Oxides or Oxide ink, Fossilized Amber and Walnut Stain. And I'm putting the yellow down and then the walnut stain and just making it look like parchment. But if you had actual parchment paper or you had tea stain papers, you could copy it out on that and adhere it. Afterwards, I thought, and I do this with the printable that I put on the back cover, I printed it out on adhesive paper, sticker paper that I purchased from Amazon. And then I just peeled and stuck it down. And that made it super simple. And definitely when I'm making these for a craft fair, I would do that because it's just, you know, speed. Now I'm using gel medium to glue this down. But you can imagine how easy that would be if this was just on sticker paper and you could just peel and stick it down. So again, you get to learn and benefit from my learning. And I'm putting a coat of this to seal the Distress ink. I'm not too worried if it mixes a little bit or blends because I want it to look like that. And then let that dry. So the printable pack for this one comes with the page that you will print on tissue paper for the covers, multiple ones, the Christmas memory ornament description, as well as a list of prompts, the things that you could write into the book to give you ideas to start it off. And that is going to be glued on. I printed that out on sticker paper and put it onto the back cover. Just outlining this with my Sakura glaze pan. And just adding some dash marks around it. The back cover, I printed out the prompts of possible story starters, sentence starters, things you're going to write into your Christmas memory booklet. And I just printed this out on sticker paper and cut it and peeled and stick and just did some Christmas stamping on it. So these make perfect gifts for someone, and craft fair makes. So here's the other Christmas project. It is a 12 days of Christmas activity calendar, including all these activities that you can do, and there will be a video showing how I created this. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.